Hi guys, hi, hello, how's it going today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today we're going to go through all of my cream and liquid highlighters, much like we did with bronzers and blushes. I will link those up in the cards for you so that you can see them. It's mostly about showing you what's in my collection or my collection as a whole. Like, I don't think that I'm going to be getting rid of any of these, but I don't know, never say never, I guess. Highlighters are one of my favorite things in my collections, and I hope that sounds like something you're interested in. If it does, please keep on watching. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high-end, colorful beauty and self-care. I also work in the beauty industry as a district leader for Ulta, so I get a lot of education in my position. I'd like to bring you that education through things like reviews. I do project panning, shop my stashing, I do all kinds of like regular beauty YouTube stuff here on my channel. I also just kind of like to talk about makeup, so here we are. That is why we are here. I assume that if you are here, you also like talking about makeup, so I hope that you find that you love my channel, that you like me a little bit, that you want to subscribe before you go. With that said, let's roll into this cream and liquid highlight collection overview. I have quite a few cream and liquid highlights sitting here, which actually kind of shocks me because I don't use them a whole lot, if I am honest. I am going to do some swatches of these products for you, so I'm taking off my watch so that I can hopefully get it all on this hand. I am the world's worst YouTuber when it comes to swatches, so hopefully we can get through this without too much despair, because I will swatch it on my arm and then realize you can't see a dang thing that I just swatched, so maybe I'll just put it on the side of my arm. Maybe, I don't know what I'll be doing, but I am going to try and make this work out for all of us here. The first thing we have is this. This is the Fenty Matchstick, and this is in Starstruck. This is a shimmer skin stick, and it is $28 for 0.25 ounces of product, or 7.1 grams. So this is it here. It is a really beautiful, beautiful matchstick. Kind of like opally pink highlight. It's honestly not one that I've used very, very often, but I do remember it being really easy to blend. It's much like the other matchstick that I talked about in my bronzer and contour. Like, I feel like you can put it straight on your face and use a brush to blend it out, and it blends super easily. I do have that it beautifully blends, it's buildable, it dries to powder, it's very lightweight and sinks into the skin for a natural glowy look. And 7 out of 10 of the shades in this product are vegan. Mine is a vegan product, so it is, and again, the shade Starstruck, and that is it right there. I do find that this one is a little bit more icy than I tend to go these days, but it is really beautiful, and it can be sheared out with a little bit. So like if I want it sheer, I will just like dab it in a couple spots on my cheek and then push it in with my finger, and it does not appear as icy as it does in the swatch on my hand. So again, it can be pretty intense, but it also can shear out pretty well. So the next ones I have here are these two, and they are the ABH Liquid Glow. These are liquid highlights. I have fewer of these than I do have cream in my collection, fewer liquid highlights. I do have Peach Fizz and Oyster in my collection, and these I got actually in gratis, I do believe. These are $25 for 0.68 fluid ounces of product. These are really intense and metallic in my opinion, and they do have 7 shades. These do dry down really well, but they still leave kind of a tackiness on your face in my opinion, and they blend out beautifully. What I struggle with sometimes with liquid, specifically liquid highlights, is that they do pick up makeup underneath. I don't feel like these ones do. So that is Peach Fizz as I put it on my skin, and this is what it looks like. So damn metallic. So you need to take like your finger and kind of like dab it on and make it so that it looks like slight. If you want it just to have a slight appearance on your face, it can get super crazy though. If you are going to put these on your face, my suggestion would be to put also a powder highlight over the top of them, because otherwise you will see that your hair is sticking to your face, and maybe even the elements of the world outside are sticking to your face. It is a crazy metallic highlight though, full intensity. I will swatch the oyster one for you as well. I will say these potentially could last you 50 years because you literally just need, I don't know if I showed you, I think I did show you the little tiny dab of the peach fizz one that I put on my hand here, and this is what it did. That little tiny dab will get both sides of your face and your nose and your cupid's bow and your forehead, if that is what you want to do with it, with the smallest, slightest little dab. All right, the next one is this. This is the Wet n Wild Hello Halo Mega Glow. This is also a liquid. This one does come with a doe foot, much like a concealer. The doe foot is huge in my opinion, but this is $5.99 for 0.5 ounces of product, which I think is pretty fantastic, right? It is a multicolor shimmer, great for your skin because it's got really great skin loving ingredients in it to help with your texture on your face. Here's a news flash, we all have texture on our face, so that's not really something that I care about, but if you care about it, this would be a good product for you. It is buildable, but it's best as a base for powder formulas in my opinion. It does have a really nice like iridescence to it. This one is in the shade Holographic, but it is just way too pink for me. This one does stay quite wet in my opinion on your face unless you go in really quite lightly with it. It blends well with your finger, and I would say that is the best use of it because this one will definitely pick up your makeup underneath. The next one I have is this, and this is the Tarte Pro Glow. It is $29, and it does have 0.56 ounces of product in it, so just over this, but it is $24 more. It is buildable to completely opaque if you want it to be, but it can also be quite sheer. You must allow it to set prior to putting another layer on top of it, otherwise it will pick up underneath and kind of get a little bit chunky. Honestly, it is a lot thicker of a formula than some of the other liquids that we are looking at right now currently. It's almost like jelly, but not jelly. This one is in a special edition packaging. I did get it from BoxyCharm multiple years ago, so it may be, I mean, it smells perfectly fine. I feel like it is, you know, the same formula that I was looking at when I got it years ago, but that is it. You can see it's really, really stark, really, really bright. It can get very, very sheer though. If you use that little tiny amount on the whole of your cheeks where you're wanting to put highlight, I do think that it shears out quite well and looks beautiful. I do think that this is one of my favorites, honestly, in my collection as far as liquids go. And I think it really is because it's super easy to use, because it's not quite liquid, but it's also not quite cream. It doesn't pick up the makeup underneath, I don't think, unless you don't let it completely dry down before putting another layer on top, if that is what you're going after. Put it onto your fingers, dab it onto your cheeks, or put it onto the back of your hand, dab it onto a sponge, and then put it onto your cheeks, because then you're going to get, you know, kind of a sheerer formula, obviously, with any of these really, but this one works out best because the sponge, because it's a little bit more thick, the sponge doesn't eat up all the product when you utilize it in that way. I also really like putting some of these liquid formulas into my foundations that are more matte, because I'm not like really a matte girl. I'm a dry skin girl, but I do have some matte foundations that I really, really love. But I like mixing some of these products into those matte foundations to give those matte foundations a little bit more dewiness. and my face a little more life. This one specifically does really well over the top of powders, honestly, in my opinion. Some of the other liquid ones do not. The next one I have is the Oma Beauty Double Take, and this was also featured in my bronzer and contour video because it's double-sided. One side is a bronzer and one side is a highlight. So this isn't my favorite highlight, and it's not my favorite because of the color of it. It's just too yellow gold on the skin right now. It looks very similar to the one that's right underneath it, which is the ABH Peach Fizz Liquid Glow. But this one is quite a bit more yellow, and I think when I turn my hand, you can see the difference. This one is almost too dark for me, whereas this one wouldn't be, but I don't really like that yellow gold. I do like a gold highlighter, but I like it to be more of a white gold because my skin is so yellow that those buttery shades kind of don't look fantastic, if I'm honest. This one is a really beautiful formula. It's very, very creamy. It melts into the skin almost immediately and becomes like kind of one with the skin. I think if I had a different color of this highlighter in this stick, I would probably use it a whole lot more. Like maybe even if it was like a champagne gold or a pinky champagne, I would definitely use it more. It's also got really great skin ingredients, and it is so easy to use. It's probably the best of the bunch as far as usage, in my opinion. It's got a very nice soft luminosity, almost a lit from within luminosity to it because it sinks into your skin the way it does. Doesn't create or exacerbate any extra texture in your skin. It just looks like second skin on your face. The next one I have is this, and this is the Benefit What's Up. So I don't know what I thought this product was, but I thought that there was like a liquid version down here and then the cream version, but from what I can gather from using it, it is just the cream version here, and then this is like supposed to be your blender. We all know how I feel about products that have a blender on the bottom. I think that the blenders are pretty much useless in my opinion. And this one is so little tiny round that I don't know why they'd put a little tiny round guy on here. This one is a really beautiful color, in my opinion. It's got a little bit of like pinkiness to it, a little bit of like champagne-y, so it's that perfect champagne pink that I was just talking about. This one is $30 for 0.33 ounces of product, or 9.4 grams, so it's a good size stick. It's got, again, a real soft luminosity. It blends into your skin, doesn't really exacerbate any kind of texture on your skin, doesn't create more texture on your skin. I do think that this is pretty stark for what it actually shows up like on your skin as you're blending it out. It does get very sheer. I would say don't use a blender with this one. Use a brush with this one. Like take your brush and put it on the top and then stipple it onto your face. That is the best way I have found to use it. It isn't sticky. It dries down really well. Doesn't pick up makeup. This can look kind of dark-ish if you turn it just right. Even on my skin, it kind of has this orangey cast to it, and I don't really know where that comes from, but if I use it sparingly, it's actually quite nice. The next one I have is this, and this might be one that I actually declutter in this whole process because I kind of hate this guy. This is the Kiss and Smink Everything stick, and it is in the shade Tulum. I have tried to use this on everything. I've tried to use this on my cheeks as a highlight, my cheeks as a blush, my lips. It looks horrible everywhere except for as a highlight, and even then it still looks horrible. I just really do think that it is too thick of a product. This is it right here. Again, like, how could anybody really use that as a blush or a lipstick? I don't know if you guys can see. It's just far too shiny. But also, it just feels thick. As you're putting the balm on, it kind of like leaves this trail of rougher edges. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a really super thick product. It's meant to be an everything balm, and when I think everything balm, I think along the lines of like Bite Beauty multi-sticks as well. You know, they're kind of thicker. They're meant to be used as a lipstick or a blush or even an eyeshadow. Sometimes they're very like kind of matte in a way, and that's kind of not what you want from a highlight. You want it to be shiny and look glossy, but also not sticky. This one isn't sticky necessarily. It does mattify for the most part. I do think that you can still feel a little bit of tackiness to it, but not like tacky your hair is going to stick to it, but like tacky movable, I guess is where I'm going with this. This is a $20 product, this little stick here. I cannot for the life of me figure out how much product is in this stick. I even went to the website and looked, but it is $20, and this is the amount of product that you get, which I do not think is bad. I think it's a good size product, but I do think especially for $20, honestly, we're looking at $40 for sometimes less than that. On my lips, it exacerbates all the lines in my lips if my lips are anything but plump and juicy. On my face, it also exacerbates texture, maybe even creates and leans into looking like more texture because of the thickness of it. It does blend well, but it's just not a great product in my opinion. So I do think, now that we're talking about this, I am going to declutter this guy. This is the Butter London Glaze and Highlight, Glaze and Gloss. It is $26 and it is 0.33 ounces of product or 9.6 grams of product. It is like a putty. I want to say putty, but I think that that's kind of not right because it isn't hard in here. It's like a liquid. It's like one of these, but thicker. Maybe like this in a pot instead of like this. I will tell you, I prefer these kind of products in something like this than I do in this. And because it's in this, I find that I reach for it so infrequently because it just feels gross to me. It feels weird to me, and it also feels very unsanitary to me. So I just don't dabble in this very often, but it is so beautiful. And when I do dabble in it, I am so happy that I have done so. And that's part of the problem. Like, you just barely tap in with your finger and you get so much product on your finger. This is it. You guys, how beautiful is that? I take most all of these liquids and put them onto the back of my hand and then use a sponge to apply my highlight. I do find that that's the best way to do it without getting highlight all over you. It does blend so easily. It also builds to crazy intensity. It is best applied with your fingers or utilizing the back of your hand with a sponge and then to your face. I would never suggest putting any of these straight onto your face. Probably one of the oldest highlights in my collection, if I'm honest, as far as liquid highlighters go, because these were for sale during Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty before I even started working at Ulta Beauty. This was purchased right after I got my channel. I find that it dries down quite quickly. I also find that you can build it once it's dried down, but I find that it also can look very natural with very little effort. The next one is the Milk Makeup Highlight. Again, I did discuss this in the bronzer video, but this is their normal size now. These are $21 for 6 grams of product or 0.21 ounces of product. These blend so well. They're super easy to use. They're almost mistake proof as it pertains to a highlight in a stick. They are, I think, more natural of a glow on your skin, and they don't help to exacerbate texture on your face or create new texture on your face. They don't really sit on top of your face. They kind of sink into your face and become one with your skin. So I just think that they're beautiful. This is the holographic stick. I definitely like that holographic better than the Wet n Wild holographic. Maybe I'll get rid of that. Should we declutter this one? I think we should. Let's declutter this one too. So we've got 2 declutters that are coming out of this. The reason why I'm decluttering that though is because I definitely like this one better than this one. This one doesn't go on top of product very well. This one really does. So And I kind of like the really like pale blue pink shift to this versus the kind of stark blue pink shift to that. So there is the holographic stick by Milk. This one is called Lit, and it is more of like a champagne-y color. I find that it's maybe a little bit too dark for me sometimes, dependent on the time of year. This one up here is the holographic one, is called Supernova. The next one I have is this one, and this is the RMS Living Luminizer. I have to be honest, I really wasn't sure about this product when I first got it because it really does look like absolutely nothing in the pan. This Living Luminizer, and I believe it doesn't, I don't know that it's got a shade, if I'm honest. It just says Living Luminizer on the bottom. It is $38 for 0.17 ounces of product, or 4.82 grams. So I think that that is kind of on the more expensive end, if I'm honest. It creates a really beautiful lit from within glow. It reminds me of the Hourglass ambient powders, but in a cream form. So again, I don't love that it's in a pot, but it is a more stiff. It's not like super, like your finger's gonna sink all the way into. It's not like a jelly. It is a product that is stiff, and you can definitely use your sponge straight into it or a brush straight into it, but this is it. It's just a really pretty, really natural looking, almost pink candlelit glow on your skin. I would say this is a glowy, not greasy, not glitter, but a true glow that could be a perfect base for another product to go on top of it, but also just creates a really beautiful lit from within kind of glow if you're using it on its own. That kind of leans into the totally natural lit from within glow that I'm talking about. As you build it, it becomes kind of almost silvery without being straight up silver on your face. It is a really, really beautiful cream highlight, in my opinion. The notes that I have on this is that it is best on bare skin. So this one does not work well with products. And that's okay for me because I wear a lot of, like, honestly, most of the week I spend without foundation on my face. I will do some like covering up with a concealer or use a foundation to just kind of spot check some of my areas of opportunity on my face that I feel like exist, or I will use a skin tint. This works well with a skin tint, but it doesn't work well with a whole lot of other products. So if you're going to use this with other products, definitely make sure that you are putting it on first and then using a powder to seal it. It does remain pretty sticky on your skin. This one is by Ritual de Fille, and this is one of their Rare Light Cream Luminizers. This is in the shade Moon Pillar. Ritual de Fille is a brand that I got into because my friend Mary, she has a channel here on the YouTubes, and she's really into this brand, and then they started being sold at Ulta. So I was like, I definitely have to try them out. Again, this is a lot holographic. It kind of reminds me of a better version of this one and a more purple version of this one by Milk. So this one is very hard pressed. It's a super hard pressed cream. You definitely have to warm it up quite a bit with your fingers. So that's the one thing I would say that I don't 100% love about this product, is because I can't just go straight in with a blender. I have to use my finger to warm it up to get the product tapped on and then use a blender. Or I have to use a brush and know that I'm going to get way too much product, or it's going to be super hard for me to pick it up. So it has to be a super dense brush. I do prefer using my finger in this product, dabbing it on, and then going over the top with a blender, only because I feel like I have the best formula if I warm it up in my fingers. You really have to warm that product up though. This is what the shade looks like. It is 5.6 grams or 0.2 ounces of product. It is $32 for the product. It's best applied with your fingers because you're going to get that really beautiful like formula. Because it comes in such a hard pressed cream, it does dry down pretty quickly, which is why I'm going in a second time, because it dried down too quickly on my finger. You have to work very, very fast with this highlight in order to have it work for you. You see the cast that it creates. It can be too dark, but I'm very rarely going in with this much product in one area of my face. So I feel like blended out, it looks quite beautiful. I know I spent a lot of time working with it to try and figure out the best case scenario for this brand. It takes a little bit of learning curve, but it is a really pretty highlight that does become much like milk, much like a lot of the, you know, liquid ones that we went over at the top of this video. It does become one with your skin and just looks fantastic. This one I put in here because it's very like putty like formula. This is the Stila Heaven's Hue highlighter, and this is in the shade Luminescence, and it is a putty. If you put your finger into it and just kind of move around, you can see where I just had my finger. This one is really beautiful. I feel like it goes on completely different from the rest of them. There's not like a whole lot of pull to it. It isn't super stiff in the pan. It's super easy to use, super easy to apply. I feel like it's got a little less of a sheeniness to it. So if you're not looking for like stark, this is kind of the perfect formulation for you. And I think they have like 5 or 6 different shades that you can get. Mine again is Luminescence. This one has a little bit of shiftiness to it, but it's kind of like that peachy, pinky shiftiness. This is $34 for 0.35 ounces or 10 grams of product. That highlight is going to last you forever, as long as it doesn't turn, right? And I feel like that much product could potentially turn, but that has been in my collection for probably 4 years, and it still is creamy, silky as it was the first day I touched it. So, and it goes on my face and doesn't look weird on my face. That's when you can kind of see some of your creamy or your liquid products turning, is when they no longer sit on your skin the same way they did in the past. This one has not changed at all. It's got a really bouncy texture to it, a really silky, weightless feel to it. I do feel like this one also goes onto your skin and just becomes one with your skin. Doesn't help exacerbate texture, doesn't fall into your fine lines and wrinkles if you have that. It's a really perfect cream highlighter for aging skin, in my opinion. Then we have these guys. These are Galactic Duos, and they are $26 a piece. They have 8 grams of product, or 0.28 ounces. They are really beautiful and blendable. I just don't find myself reaching into them all too often. They dry down to a semi-matte, so they're still going to have a little bit of balminess or tackiness to them. This one is in Moon Glow, and this one is in Sunset, but you can see they are very, very similar, but also very, very different. These are not super intense, but pretty perfect for everyday use, in my opinion. So I'm going to swatch first the one called Moonlight, which is the one in the metal packaging. You can see they're just really subtle, but also really quite shiny, honestly. And then I am going to swatch this one in the plastic packaging called Sunset. I feel like they look pretty similar, but also kind of different. I feel like this one's definitely champagne-y, but these 3 could almost be the same shade. I think I'm gonna get rid of the Sunset one because I see me using the champagne one more than I see me using this one. Do you guys see the kind of like deepness of that? Even though the champagne one looks kind of deep too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of that one and just keep this one. They blend out really, really beautifully. They're not super intense, but these are really, really long wearing. I have used this bottom one, this one that I just put away, as a kind of glowy blush in the past too. So I think that you could get away with that with really any of these, in my opinion. These Natasha Denona palettes, the Tan Bronze and Glow and the Bloom Blush and Glow, do have some cream highlighters. This one is here in the Blush and Glow, and this one is here. This one I feel like is more of like just a balm. It does have a lot of glow to it, but I feel like it performs best with something over the top of it. And that is so deep, you guys. I had forgotten that that performed that deep. This one I think I'm gonna have to dig out of there because I think this one is bad. This one is also in another Natasha Denona palette that I have. It is the shade Daria, if I remember correctly. But it's just a really pretty peachy, glowy product. But this is a relatively older palette in my collection. When I went in to swatch it, it does have like those little lumpy bumps in there that tell me that this product is bad. So I am also going to dig that out because I just did the blush one. The blush is fine, and the powder products in here are also fine. But I do feel like that highlight is probably a bad highlight. But that those two products come in at, I think, $55 for those palettes. I don't necessarily think that her cream products, as far as face products go, are my favorite. Like, they dry down really, really well, don't get me wrong, and they are quite beautiful. But I think I really love her powders a whole lot more than I love her creams. And then we have these two products, and I didn't put a whole lot of notes on here. This one I haven't used yet. This is the Suva Liquid Chrome. It's $40 for this guy. I don't even know that I will ever go through this bottle, if I'm honest. I haven't opened it yet. It's still got even the little sticker here to seal the deal. I can tell you my least favorite way of applying products or getting products out of a component are these little pipettes here, because they just break so often. If there's any kind of like not airtightness about this pipette, you're out an entire $40 bottle of highlight. And I hate that about these kind of contraptions. I think that this would go perfectly into a highlight or into a foundation though, and that is how I see myself using this. I forgot about this one. This is another one that I have here that's very much along the same lines, but I forgot about it because I don't use it as a highlight in my collection, which is probably what I'll do with this one too, is put it up there. I use it as a glowy add-in to my foundations. This is by Algenist, and it's one of their Reveal Concentrated Luminizing Drops. It's also considered a highlight, but that's not how I use it. So I think I'm going to take this out of highlights, and I'm also going to put it up with my foundations as a luminizer add-in, because that's how I see myself using that most. This one, however, I also don't have a whole lot of verbiage on. I can tell you it's the Grande Glow Liquid Highlight. It's called a Plumping Liquid Highlight, and it is $25 for this guy. I will tell you, this will last you forever, and I just don't think that $25 is all that bad. This one is in the shade French Pearl, and this is the highlight that I have on my face today. And, you know, I just kind of actually love this. It did say in the information about this that it is called plumping because it has like a cooling feel to it, and it's made with skin ingredients that's supposed to help like hydrate your skin. I just don't feel like highlighters really do anything for plumping. I do feel like, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I do feel like it is maybe got a cooling effect to it, but I use it on the back of my hand and then with a sponge. It does appear that it would have a really horrible, like, too dark for me cast to it, but I think even when I'm straight on, you can't see that cast, but I think even when I turn, you can't really see that deep dark cast. It's just a beautiful luminizer. You'll have to let me know what your thoughts are on it, but that is how I feel about that, and that is the one that I am wearing today because it's in my Shop My Stash. So I did declutter 3 of the cream and liquid highlighters that were in my collection, which makes me happy because I have all of these and I don't really use them a whole lot, if I'm 100% honest. I think I could honestly get away with decluttering more. I will be digging that cream out of here because I just don't think that it's a good idea to use that on my face. It does have like little freckly bumps in it. I just did the blush one for my blush video of the same thought process, and the blush one is perfectly fine. You can't see any like moisture bumps in it, but this one you definitely can. So let me know what you guys think of this video. We just went through cream blushes, we went through cream bronzers and contours, and now we've gone through cream highlights. I thought I wanted to share them with you, and I'm hoping that you enjoyed them. Let me know what you think. If you did like it, I hope that you give it a big thumbs up. And I also hope that you want to subscribe before you go. As I said in the beginning, I would love to have you along for this crazy ride of mine, welcome you into my YouTube fam, and welcome you personally. So please let me know if you do subscribe. I would love to say hi down in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you are having an awesome time this month. I hope that you and yours are well, that you're safe, that you're healthy, and that you're getting along as best you can in this crazy world that we're living in currently. I hope that you're loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye friends.